All right. I'd like to call the Village of Cottage Grove Village of Board of Trustees meeting to order. It is Monday, October 19th. It's 6:31 on my watch. We are holding this during this pandemic as a Zoom meeting. For those that want to join it, the link for the Zoom is at the top of the agenda. There's also an audio call-in number for those that choose to use that means. We are recording this and including the chats. So that is just letting everybody know that as well. Lisa, we'll start with roll call, please.
All right, Alan?
Present.
Lindbergh?
Present.
Murphy?
Present.
Ratcliffe?
Here.
Valencia?
Present.
Vandervelde?
Here.
And Williams.
Present.
All right.
All right. We have a quorum and the agenda was properly posted. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance so anybody can try to find a flag where we can. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Item 4 is public appearances, public's opportunity to speak on any subject. And again, to remind the public, we ask that you give your name, your address, and the topic that you'd like to speak on, as well as limit your comments to no more than 3 minutes, so that if we have a lot of folks who'd like to share their thoughts, we can get them all in. So I will pause and allow anybody that's on the Zoom or audio to jump right in.
Yes, John, this is Joe Bowers. Can you hear me?
Yes, again, Joe.
Yes, Joe Bowers, village resident, 143 East Reynolds. Also, my brother and I co-own the property at 4600 County Road N. And I would like to speak on 3 agenda items. Item 7-Roman numeral 7, Utility Commission. 7-Roman numeral 8, B as in Baker, GDP for Cottage Grove Commons Phase 2. Item 7-8D as in dog, PIP for Glen Grove. Thank you. That's all I have.
All right. Thanks, Joe. Make sure we let you chime in when we get to those. Anybody else? All right, then we'll move on then to item 5 is discuss and consider the meeting minutes from a regular village board meeting on October 5th. Any comments, questions, edits, or motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All right, first from Melissa, second from Jeff, third from Troy. Any further discussion? Having heard none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Anybody abstain? Motion carries. All right, then we move on to item 6 is unfinished business. Discuss and consider the ordinance 03A-2020 revisions. And that there's an item from Lisa in the packet, a memo, as well as the proposed revision to Chapter 305-7 emergency snow removal. So Lisa, I don't know if you want to speak on the memo.
Sure. So it was just basically a cleanup of information from when we revised this ordinance. We had taken out some sections and a portion of it did not get cleaned up. So it still referred to the penalty. So this is just basically cleaning it up so that it has all the right sections.
Just a quick clarification, Lisa. There's some additional spacing in under section 2, under the kind of italicized area, Director of Public Works may declare snow emergency. And then you go on the second line there. I don't know if it's an extra space or the way the software is spreading it out. And then the line below that too as well as the couple more lines down. I don't know if that's, again, just by the nature of the software or if we got some extra spaces in there.
I will double check to make sure that if they are extra spaces that we take them out.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any questions or comments from board members?
I'll make a motion to approve Ordinance 03A-2020 revisions.
All right, is there a second?
I can second.
All right, first by Heidi, second by Paul. Any further discussion? Having heard none, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Oops, there we go, Paul. Anybody opposed? Anybody abstain? Motion carries. All right, then we move right into village reports from boards, commissions, and committees, starting with Public Works and Properties. I'll start off and then see if JJ wants to add anything into this. So we met for Public Works on Tuesday, October 6th. We covered our typical old business items, the Glacial Drumlin bike path and update to Clark Street. We are still in the process of finishing up all the dotting of the I's and crossing of the T's for the DOT process for getting the grant. Everybody's seen the budget for this, as well as some of the sketches in prior meetings. So well on our way to getting this project underway in 2021, and at least getting our part of the Glacial Drumlin path connected, as well as updating Clark Street, which is in need of repair, and adding some parking as well. Next, we talked a little bit about the Bus BB intersection and project there. Kevin outlined that we do have some options, and they're still kind of working through those options based on traffic counts and some other things, that it may be a stepped approach or a phased approach as far as urbanizing that intersection. Obviously, we'll need lights when the school is active next fall, but some other things that maybe we had thought that perhaps needed to be done may be able to push off for a little bit until the further development around that area. Then we covered the budget, some things there, and talked a little bit about a potential pond associated with the project for Clark Street renovation and where that stormwater will go, potentially on the Wilson property, which is across from Bakken Park, which is proposed to be developed at some point off of Vilas there. Then we also discussed the salt reduction plan for this winter, starting with a pilot in a couple of streets, and looking to communicate that to village residents in that area fairly flat to see how that goes. Again, all that salt ends up in our streams and our lake and watershed. If we can reduce any of that, that would be a nice benefit to us. Went through the engineers and directors reports. Next meeting is November 3rd, 6 p.m. JJ, anything to add?
Nope, I think you covered it all perfectly, John.
All right. Those are the Reader Digest notes, Cliff Notes. All right, then Melissa, moving on to Library Planning Committee.
Oh, actually, I had a couple of questions about Public Works.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
No,
Gone too fast.
you must have known.
No, it's good.
I was just wondering, I did receive my letter about the reduced salt because it is in my neighborhood. So that went out to everybody. I assume in my neighborhood already received it. I was just wondering what the discussion was then, if for some reason the decreased amount of salt use didn't work, like at what point would the determination be made to go back to normal, or are we just going to wait and see what happens?
I'll start and then I'll let JJ jump in. So I think the point there would be to really observe it both by staff. I'm certainly interested in it from the Sustainability Committee, so I'm going to take a peek as well and see, what the road conditions are like when we are trying to do this in the 2 pilot areas. I think if we have any issues whatsoever, or, certainly complaints, we'll have to, take a step back and, certainly discuss that at the committee level, and maybe if it's prior to a committee meeting, address it right away, and then discuss it at the committee level. But JJ, anything else to add on that, or correct me?
No, exactly the same. It'd just be in conjunction with our emergency services. I'll be in touch with them, and if there's any kind of issue they're seeing, obviously we'll change it immediately. If it's just kind of run-of-the-mill complaints, I can just update the committee and the board, but not necessarily change anything until perhaps it rises to a level that you all decide we need to.
Okay.
The other thing, I'm sorry,
go ahead.
real quick. The other thing the committee did talk about, or just to clarify, the salt reduction program does not apply to any intersections or areas like that. We're still going to be salting those, and that's really where a lot of, if there's going to be an issue, it would probably arise there. So that's still our standard operating procedure when it comes to those areas in the both of the pilot areas.
Okay, great. Have you had anybody contact you about the letter at all?
Only one, and it was actually, I think, just in the context of bringing up another concern. But the individual was in full support of the reduction plan at this point.
Great. And then my last question is, how are the talks with Dane County going about the bus road intersection, MBB? Like, are you guys getting things figured out on how to proceed?
Kevin and I met with Pam a few weeks ago with Dane County Highway, and absolutely, she's been incredibly responsive and great to work with. We don't have everything ironed out yet by any means, but as far as her part of it, couldn't ask for more.
Okay, great. Thank you. Then if nobody else has questions, I'll move on to the Library Planning Committee then.
Actually, if I could do a follow-up
Okay.
question on the reduced salt, are we planning to use something more environmentally friendly like sand in areas there's a concern about slipperiness on a street like that?
Troy, I think the plan is not to use anything. Plow it off, let Mother Nature do her business, and see how that goes. There are other communities that have done this in certain areas. The 2 pilot areas are very flat. We've already reached out to, there's a couple of committee members that are in the area that are impacted, along with Melissa, that were all for it as well. So we're not planning on doing anything. That's the whole idea. Reduce the amount we're spreading around. Salt not only does harmful things to water, but I found a little article, because I'm a chemistry geek or a chemist by trade, it also impacts air quality too. So in the way it's spread out and everything, there's a chemical reaction, to be very simple, and it causes pollutants in the air. So there's a 2-pronged approach to this, to try to, again, to be a little more mindful of the environment. Very small area, we're trying it. People may not like it. It may not work, because it is Wisconsin, heaven forbid, but we're going to give it a shot. Does that answer?
It does. I just think that sand, any environmental issues, and
If I won't keep the whole board for long, Troy, if you want, we can talk later, but we've talked about it internally quite a bit. Long story short, not have it freeze at this time. practice now is kind of getting away from it just because they either dedicate a significant amount of time to clean up in the spring, just because while it's not environmentally necessarily nearly as bad as salt, it is still sediment that gets into the waterways. So, but honestly, we've talked a lot about it, so we can definitely discuss it more. We can here too if anybody would like to. It's a big agenda.
Thanks, JJ.
Any other questions about Public Works? All right. Now, without further ado, we'll move on to the Library Committee.
Great, thanks. We met on October 7th when there was still 8 days left to take the survey. At that point, there was 690 responses. And since then, we've gotten 812 responses to the survey in total before it closed on the 15th. So great response. And the Library Planning Committee will be going through the results to do a presentation to the Village Board at one of our December meetings for the Village Board. And so that's what we'll be working on at our next meeting on October 28th at 6:30.
All right. Any questions for Melissa and the Library Planning Committee? All right. Moving on then to Community Development Authority. Jeff.
Yeah, so we met again on October 12th. We had actually met September 29th and chose, I think last meeting I had mentioned that we chose to put in a budget request of $30,000 for going towards marketing the village. And we had kind of settled on Distillery, Signal Fire, and Weber to get bids from them. But we had also directed the staff to kind of put a point system, a working system that we could actually kind of grade each company with. And Aaron, and I'm assuming maybe Matt too, with him came up with 5 criteria. And that's what we discussed on October 12th. The 5 criteria were qualifications and experience of a firm and individuals assigned. Second one, specific plans and methodology. Third one, references from other clients. Fourth one, quality of illustrative examples. In 5, a proposed fee. So we discussed that, how to go back to each one of those companies and say, this is kind of the criteria that we're going to be grading on. And then just those 3 companies, once again, Distillery, Signal Fire, and Weber. We will be inviting them to do presentations for the CDA. Certainly welcome the board members if they want to come to that meeting, if they want to get a good feel for the 3 we're looking at. And then sooner or later, we would make a recommendation to the board based on those criteria. Aaron or Matt, did I miss anything? Did I present that well?
Yeah, I think you got it. I think we're looking at the December CDA meeting to do the interviews.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, once the budget season's over and if everything gets approved and we're okay with that, the amount we requested, then we'll start moving forward on figuring out which firm we'd want to work with to really do a good job marketing Cottage Grove to outside businesses, etc. So that's all I have. John, you're muted.
Yeah, and it comes across the big words too to remind me of that. Thank you, Jeff. Do you want to take joint fire, or does somebody else on the committee want to jump in?
That would be my.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I'm going to share my screen maybe so that you can see. Basically, the Joint Fire Committee met to just figure out what sign to approve, and we approved the Lemberg sign for that spot. If you guys can see that on the screen there.
You can see it.
Okay, great. That's the sign that we approved for $24,823. That is all coming out of the SAFER grant. It had to fit the dimensions. Is that the right one? I think that's the right one, isn't it? Yeah, Lemberg. So that's what the new sign will look like. It's all LED and it scrolls. So now if I can try to unshare my screen there. So that's all we met about. Our next meeting is November 23rd at 6:30.
All right. Any questions for Melissa regarding joint fire? Melissa, when's the install of the sign going to come? It takes a while to order the various pieces and everything, or?
That's a good question. We didn't discuss that, but I know we had to meet earlier so that earlier than our November meeting so that it could get approved before 90 days so it's possible it'd still be this year yet.
Very good.
Do you know Jeff or Paul by chance?
No, I don't.
That's a good question. Didn't have the presence of mind to ask them, but I'm sure we can circle back and they can ask the question of Lindbergh, what's the lead time going to be on that? So,
Yeah, I can send an email to the chief and let you guys all know.
I thought we had there was a deadline on getting this in for the grant, and I want to say, I have my video off. Sorry, I want to say they were discussing doing this in December. Does that ring a bell? I thought that's what they had mentioned, but I could be wrong.
Looking at the quote, it says lead time 8 to 10 weeks upon receipt of permit.
So that'd be right in that area, December.
Yeah.
Oh.
And Aaron, just quickly, that goes through the town, right? Because that's not in the village for a sign ordinance.
Yeah, it goes to Dane County.
Oh, Dane County.
Yeah, it's Dane County zoning ordinance that they use in the town. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it had to be like 32 square feet was the biggest it could be based on the speed limit there. So that's how the county does it, apparently.
No accidents or anything because people are blinded by the LEDs. All right, good to know. Now that'll be nice to see when that's up. Next up, we have the Annox Sustainability Committee. Heidi, you want to take this?
Sure. So we met on the 13th, and we had a resident that's interested in joining our efforts. So I thought that was cool that word's getting out about the committee. We had a presentation from another vendor of electric vehicle charging stations just to look at more options, and they have a real flexible line of products that they install. So it fits like a station that we might need for our own village-owned vehicles, or if we are ever interested in installing public charging stations. We also had another guest from Alliant Energy, a representative that's going to provide additional information on Alliant's new solar program and other resources that can help us take part in more sustainable programs moving forward. And then I had to scoot to the Budget, Personnel, and Finance Committee, but they talked about just posting some public awareness on the sustainability resolution that we passed recently. So our next meeting is the 10th at 6 p.m.
All right, any questions for Heidi? All right, super, thanks. So then we move on to Utility Commission, which is Heidi again.
All right, so that meeting was on the 14th, and we talked about how work is continuing on water and sewer on Vilas Road. Well 3 is due for maintenance, and we approved to move forward on that. We also talked about, we'll see this under Plan Commission tonight, to consider the 0 lot line for Parador Place. Our next meeting is the 11th at 5 p.m. And I think we had someone from the public that wanted to, Mr. Bowers, comment on something on utility, so I don't want to miss him.
Yeah, thanks, Heidi. Joe, are you still with us?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me, John?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, just a question on the sidewalk bike path extension on the east side of Highway N from UW Health north to Gaston Road. That's kind of like the phase 2 of the bike path. That's been mentioned in conjunction with the Cottage Grove Commons Phase 2 expansion. Just wanted to see if there was any status on the completion of that. It was kind of done in 2 phases. Phase 1 was from like Oak Street up to UW Health, and that was done, I believe, in 2019. And then the second phase, from UW Health to the Commerce Park, was Phase 2. Didn't know if there's any schedule update on that. Thank you.
Yeah, so Joe, I can jump in, and then others certainly can. So right now, at least, the plan is for that to be done next year. We have the opportunity to apply for a grant through the county, and we're going to try to do that, assuming that budget stays together. At least it was in the initial proposed budget. But with the proposed development, which we'll talk about in a little bit, I think that we're trying to plan on getting that done next year. Plus, there's interest in getting that path all the way down through the roundabout for the county park as well. So we're hoping that we have a good leg up, at least in the grant, if it stays in the budget. And then, obviously the rest, the village will cover if that's the case. But that is at least the plan right now. Aaron, I don't know if you want to jump in there or JJ.
JJ probably knows more than I do on that.
I think you covered it all, John.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Joe, for the question. And then I apologize, but inadvertently, because I'm still using paper for the agenda, at least I cut one agenda off here. Then I skipped over to jump to Heidi for Plan Commission. So she was on a roll, so I let her go, and should have jumped in for the Finance and Personnel Committee. And so, Troy, do you want to take this one? I know it's Troy, myself, and Heidi, but.
Sure. We went over proposals by the different departments for budget for 2021, I'm sorry. Went over each memo specifically, discussed where we were with the levy, and everything was approved as presented. We did shuffle some money on the CDA request, taking a few more dollars out of a TID rather than general levy funds. One question that was raised in that process is what's the ROI for the study for the village. So I would be curious, and when the presentations happen, if that question could be asked of the folks that are presenting on that. Other than that, am I missing anything, John? It was a pretty straightforward. I think it's the fastest budget meeting I've ever been in 5 years.
Only thing to add there, Troy, was just the committee approved a 4.9 levy increase for 2021, budget of 4.4 million and change, at least now. Now, again, that's just for that committee. We have a working board meeting yet, and some more hoops to jump through for the board to finally approve this. But that was what we have going on there. And I think, other than that, I think it was things that moved around. Again, Matt and staff have done a phenomenal job at trying to keep us in check. We don't know exactly what the state's budget's going to look like beyond next year, so we're trying to hold the line a bit, knowing that that's all up in the air because of this silly pandemic and such. So, Matt, anything else to add?
Just one thing: yes, the levy is going up about in the draft budget about 5%, but the impact to taxpayers is expected to be about 4% for the average home.
Correct. Sorry, I should have read down further in your memo.
Yeah, no problem.
Any questions from the board? All right. Now we'll move on to the Plan Commission. We had a busy evening when we met last on Wednesday, October 14th. Melissa can keep me honest here on what we covered, but I'll start with the top and then kind of work our way through. I see that we have some of the representatives of these various discuss and considers that are here. So also, if they're here, we'll give them an opportunity to speak. We also have at least one citizen that wants to speak on a couple of these items. So we'll kind of work our way through this as we go. And so we started off with discuss and consider the zero lot line application for Benjamin Hare to split an existing duplex on lot 216 and 218 in Parmenter Place. The commission passed that. It was a little, fairly straightforward. Again, someone wanting to split their property. I think, assuming they're going to sell each one outright or something of that sort, but it's a standard thing. Aaron walked through that for us. Any comments, Aaron, on that?
I think that covers it. Pretty straightforward, meets all our regulations. Utility looked at it too. It looks like there weren't any issues there either.
Any questions from the board on this particular item?
I'll make a motion to approve the application from Benjamin Hur to split the existing duplex lot lot at 216 and 218 Parlor Place.
A second.
All right, motion second then. Is there any further discussion? Having heard none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Anybody abstain? Motion carries. Next up, we talked about the proposed general development plan from CF Investments for the Cottage Grove Commons Phase 2 to be located south of Cottage Grove Commons Phase 1 on parcel 0711-042-9515-1. This is a plan unit development. This is kind of their they're in the process of getting all this approved. They've got a general agreement, then they'll have a specific one from there. I don't know. It looks like Corey, I think I saw that you were on, Corey Frank.
Yep.
We got more than just Corey Frank.
Double teaming you here.
All right. If you guys would like to just kind of outline what you kind of shared with the Plan Commission.
All right. I'll let you start here, and then we'll go through the same presentation we gave to Plan Commission. Hi, sure. Craig Frank, CF Investments. Like John mentioned, we're here for the second phase of Cottage Grove Commons. First phase, to give you a little brief history, we had 105 unit building there with the mixed use element, and 4 8-unit condominium buildings, and moving along quite well at this point. And we are hoping to complete construction on that phase right around the first of the year. So that's why we're here seeking approval for our second phase. Corey, of course, is here to put on a presentation. And Mike Hawkins is an audience too, in case there's any questions regarding engineering aspects. So I'll let Corey go through the plan here, and we're available for any inquiries. So as mentioned, CF Investments has been in real estate since 1985. Current focus of pursuing redevelopment opportunities, residential mixed-use projects and land development, with over $180 million in projects that are complete or currently under construction. Here we have some of our recent projects over the last couple of years. We're primarily focused east side of Madison and suburbs, such as Sun Prairie and, of course, Cottage Grove. So a quick project overview. So we're proposing a mixed-use development comprised of a mix of market-rate apartment units, affordable condominiums, and office retail space. The mixed-use building, which is the focal point of the development, features an internal parking structure, much like the mixed-use building in phase 1 of the development. consisting of 115 residential units and 2,700 square feet of commercial. We are also proposing 2 33-unit apartments with underground parking, a 10-unit townhome with underground parking, and 78 units of affordable condominiums. This would be comprised of 5 different buildings, 2 27-unit garden style with underground parking and elevator, and 3 8-unit townhome style with underground parking. The project provides 538 parking stalls on site, and we actually just recently updated site plan to reflect even more stalls than that. Total projected value of the proposal is over $50 million. And here we have a site plan on the left and kind of an aerial view of the proposed site on the right. So this phase of development is outlined here in red on the west side of Highway N. Directly to the north is where our phase 1 is currently under construction with estimated completion around January 1st of the entire project. And then you have, of course, Culver's up here, corner of Gaston N on up to the interstate and Summit to the north. And here is our most up-to-date site plan, which has a few tweaks since Plan Commission last week. So on the west side of the road, we have 3 8-unit townhomes with underground parking. These are identical style buildings to the 4 that are to the north as part of phase 1. We then have 2 27-unit condominiums, followed by our mixed-use building to the east side of North Windsor Ave. And then to the south, we have 2 33 units with underground parking and a 10-unit with underground parking. As part of the development, we'd be taking North Windsor Ave and continuing it straight through north to south, which would then be connecting it at the south with the current end of North Windsor Ave, and to the north with where we currently have North Windsor Ave stubbed to as part of phase 1 of the development. Limestone Pass will then be extended east to west to connect across with Limestone Pass on the east side of County Highway N. And a few little tweaks to the site plan we can go over since Plan Commission. We added some additional surface parking. So this lot between the 2 condos, 27-unit condos, we added 3 parking stalls. We added 13 surface parking stalls between the 2 33-unit buildings. A couple other items to mention. There was questions as far as where the outdoor amenity space would be. We have that laid out right here to the west. And then also we added in the retention pond and outdoor amenity area for reference in phase 1. So this has a surface parking lot, retention pond with walking path and green space, which could be easily utilized by phase 2 as well. We are then in this location to the north of the retention pond. This would be a potential pool area along with the currently planned outdoor amenity space for phase 1, which could then be utilized by phase 2 tenants as well. Here we have some color renderings. So this one would be directly from the south. As you can see in the background here, we have Summit, BB Jacks, Culver's, corner of Gaston N is located right here. So to the north side here, you see a rendering of our current mixed-use building, which is nearing completion. And then the first 4 8-unit condominium buildings on the west side of the street are part of phase 1 as well, with the 4th building actually just starting framing this week. We would then continue in phase 2 with 3 more 8-unit condominiums, the 2 27-unit 3-story with underground parking and elevator. And then here would be the mixed-use building, which features a 4-story internal parking structure with a similar rooftop amenity to the first building. The parking ramp entrance is at the south side of the building, coming off of the surface parking lot, to where you don't have any direct entrance from the parking garage onto any of the major streets. And then to the south, we have the two 33-unit apartment buildings. And here we have a view from the southeast, kind of showing more of a frontage along Highway N. The commercial space isn't pictured in this rendering, but it would be the first floor of the southeast corner of the mixed-use building. I'm not sure if you can see my cursor on your screen, but it's where my cursor is here. And then as we continue, a little closer up view. And all materials of these proposed buildings are to be a mix of brick, hardy plank lap siding, hardy plank flat panel siding, and fiber cement products versus any vinyl material. It'd be the equivalent of the same material you see in our mixed-use building in phase 1 of the development. Here we have a southwest view from the corner of the retention pond area at the southwest corner of the lot. This view would be from Highway N. You have the two 33 units and then the mixed-use building. This is North Windsor Ave from the south. So this view would be from where North Windsor Ave is currently stubbed to the south, just beyond the gas station. As you can see, you'd have the apartments on the right, the mixed-use building, and then the condos on the left side of the street. And here we have a view from North Windsor Ave from the north. So this would be from the current end of North Windsor Ave, where it's stubbed out to in phase 1. You continue with 3 more 8-unit condominiums from there. Another view from the north, you can see our existing retention pond on the left side of the street there. And these would be of the 3-story condominiums from the west, showing the surface parking between the 2 buildings. And now we'll dig a little deeper into the mixed-use building, which is the focal point of the project. So here's a little closer up view. As you can see, the existing 105-unit mixed building to the north, the proposed 115-unit mixed-use building to the south. Here you can see the garage entrance on the south side coming off the surface parking lot, and you get a little view of the rooftop amenity area, somewhat covered from this angle, but it'll be a real large rooftop amenity at the top level of the parking ramp as well. And then a little more specifics as far as the Texas wrap style building, which is our mixed use building, in case everyone's not already aware. So this building, as I mentioned, 115 residential units and 2,700 square feet of commercial space. Internal structured parking results in more open space by reducing the surface parking requirements for the project. 2 plus parking stalls per unit within the building itself, not even including surface parking. Wide range of rents and unit types. Rent ranges from $1,085 a month on up to $2,400. Covered parking included for commercial space employees within the parking structure. The style building also has a very positive impact on stormwater management by reducing impervious parking surfaces, and it also minimizes the need for unsightly exterior surface parking. Building amenities, the rooftop amenity, which features patio, tables, sports courts, fire pits, and grills, is over 1,400 square feet of area. Indoor amenities include lobby, office, fitness center, and lounge. Sustainability of the project, construction's to be supervised by an energy consultant and will be Energy Star certified. The building will be using the most advanced heat pump technology for heating and cooling. This is the most efficient system available, and there will also be no need for unsightly exterior grills on the outside of the building.
Unit finishes, high-end finishes throughout, wood laminate floors, quartz countertops, quality cabinetry, stainless steel appliances with washer and dryer included in each unit, large windows and patio doors, and large decks with, on average, 12 to 14 foot by 6 foot deep decks. Benefits of this style building versus typical apartments. The first and foremost is the ease of access. Tenants have the ability to park on the same floor as their unit, making the trip from vehicle to apartment as seamless as possible. Although the building has an elevator, tenants rarely have a need for use. 2+ parking stalls available per unit, as mentioned. A typical covered parking stall ratio is around 1 stall per unit covered in an apartment setting. It also reduces the need for surface parking, which gives more green space on the property for tenants to utilize. And with the excess space available in the parking ramp, with actually an excess amount of parking stalls, we're able to implement large storage areas for tenants with varying sizes, ranging from 4x4 on up to 6x15 feet, which you don't typically see in an apartment building. The rooftop amenity area, which is 25 feet by 60 feet in size, is much larger than any amenity space you'd see in a competing apartment building. The building also includes 11 different unit types and price points, including 2-story townhomes, giving many more options and price points for tenants than a typical apartment building. With the highest efficiency HVAC system available, benefits of that include zoned heating and cooling for tenants and significantly reduced utility bills. Now we'll get into the affordable condominiums. The condo mix, as mentioned before, is 3 8-unit townhomes with underground parking, 2 27-unit 3-story garden style with underground parking elevator. The above mix will provide options for a wide range of lifestyles and demographics. Square footage of the units range from 740 for a 1-bedroom on up to 1,550 square feet. The buildings have 1, 2, 2+ den, and 3 bedrooms available. Prices starting around $160,000. So the 8-unit condominiums, these will be identical to the 4 condo buildings that we currently have under construction in phase 1 of Cottage Grove Commons. These include heated underground parking with private entries to each unit, 2 parking stalls underground per unit, high-end finishes throughout, much like the mixed-use building, mix of 2 and 3 bedrooms with prices starting in the $220,000s. To the left here, you see a rendering which, if you drive by the site, the buildings in phase 1 basically turned out identical to what this rendering portrays here. And then these would be interior renderings of the first floor of our 3-bedroom units. And then the 27-unit condos, these we are real excited about, in that it offers a affordable new construction ownership option that's not currently available in the Dane County market, even beyond what our 8-unit condominiums are. So the target market of this building will be empty nesters looking to downsize and preferring accessibility without stairs. We haven't seen a similar new construction product to this in Dane County for well over 10 years. It's 3-story garden style with elevator. Garden style meaning that each unit consists on just 1 floor with 3 floors of units. Heated underground parking with 30 stalls underground per building, additional 32 surface parking stalls. High-end finishes with, again, a mix of 1, 2, 2-bedroom plus den, and 3-bedroom units, with prices starting at $160,000. Relevance to the comp plan for our proposal. This development is in planned mixed-use area number 4. Some key aspects relating to the comp plan North Windsor Ave and Limestone Pass to be extended per comp plan discussions as shown on the site plan. Mixed-use building is within 200 feet of Highway N, which is another requirement. The mixed-use area requires 100 square feet of commercial for every 10 residential units, which this project exceeds. The project is also less than the 25 units per acre, which is permitted in this area. Another key requirement for the area is high quality design along Highway N. The exterior, as mentioned, consists of brick and hardy cement board siding. Innovative design, minimizing unsightly surface parking. And the design is also contemporary, which complements the surrounding areas. In summary, we feel this project is consistent with village discussions related to this site. The proposal maximizes the given site to its highest and best use by giving commercial frontage, addressing a demand for apartments and affordable condominiums in the area, and offering amenities that will attract high-income tenants and businesses that may normally be residing in more densely populated locations. This tenant base has more expendable income to support local businesses. This type of product also helps to attract new businesses to the area that require housing products such as this to recruit employees. Another key aspect of this development proposal is housing as a revenue builder for Cottage Grove by increasing the number of households and housing types that place few demands on public services. This includes housing that is both compact in form and caters to relatively affluent childless households such as empty nesters, retirees, and young professionals. The proposed project will help to broaden the tax base significantly without the higher service needs that usually accompany single-family housing. And the last item we wanted to touch on here is the CSM plat for the development here. Mike Hawkins, if he was available, would our engineer would go over this a little further, but pretty straightforward. We have the parcel broken up into 9 lots and 2 outlots, and here again you see North Windsor Ave and Limestone Pass. And with that, we'll open it up for any questions.
Thanks, Corey. Thanks, Craig. I think we'll let Aaron jump in real quick here, and maybe Kevin, because if there's questions they may address from the board first, and then we'll open up for questions. And I know that we have at least one citizen that wants to speak about this as well. So let's start with Aaron.
Thanks, John. Corey did a great job going over the comp plan consistency. I agree with all of that. That was all in the staff report as well. So there's 2 agenda items tonight, the general development plan and then the preliminary plat. Both of those are the first step of their respective processes. So the general development plan is the first step of the planned unit development process, and we'll see a more detailed, precise implementation plan at a subsequent meeting. But the GDP was approved by the Plan Commission unanimously with the conditions that are laid out in the Village Action Report. You can run through mine. They've been working hard, it looks like, even since the Plan Commission, because they've already started addressing some of my comments from the last meeting. But first condition is more just a reminder that any signage requires a sign permit subject to a separate review process. The second one is just a notation of some of the regulations from the most dense multifamily district that are being exceeded here in the planned unit development, which is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just this is what the planned unit development process is for. The density is higher, and some of the building heights are a little bit higher, I think, especially in the mixed-use building. And then the number of units in the individual buildings is higher. We had a condition to have them continue to investigate sidewalk locations. The Plan Commission had a conversation about whether to have one on both sides of Limestone Pass, where to have it on N, and it looks like the plan they're showing tonight, they do have it on both sides of Limestone and then on N up to Limestone, which I think reflects what the Plan Commission was hoping to see. This is more the conceptual level of design. So for the precise implementation plan, we'll want to make sure we have all the numbers of the different size units figured out so we can pin down the exact number of parking spaces needed. Looks like they have added, as Corey mentioned, even since the Plan Commission, which is good. The landscaping plan provided looked to be consistent with the ordinance, but obviously as things continue to get finalized in terms of where the amenities are located and the grading and the parking, there will be a final version that we'll need to look at. Basically the same thing with the photometric study once all the site design is pinned out, and they can provide that at the next level. And then just a reminder about the park fees that would be due subject to the ordinances. And then we had a condition about defining some of the outdoor spaces, which they've done and discussed again since the Plan Commission. And Kevin had a few conditions as well. You want to go over those, Kevin?
Sure. I think you covered most of them between yourself and Corey, but I guess the only, like Aaron said, we did talk about the sidewalk. I think what they've got shown here is kind of what was at least thought about as an option. I guess the biggest comment that I had on ours that, I guess there's one grading comment we had, but that was something that they'll work out between them and the Glen Grove apartments. If everything were to move forward, there's some grading between the two lots that basically they could work together and kind of get rid of a high point there and some grading. And they were both in favor of basically doing that as well. It would reduce a retaining wall area along the properties there. The only other big one was with this development, we were recommending a traffic study, basically an abbreviated one, and we actually started that today. They gave us the go-ahead to start that, so we were getting some data at the intersection of Gaston and N, and then at School and N. So then we can add this trip count along with the Glen Grove and Cottage Grove, or the Commons Phase 1 developments to that, and see what kind of improvements, basically mainly at the intersection of Limestone and N. Obviously right there is where the two lanes merge to the one lane, as well as having kind of what they have shown here is a right in, right out, which is what we're kind of thinking is necessary here, instead of a full intersection with the two lit intersections at School and Gaston. But we're getting some traffic data to work with them on that. And then also look at a potential of a pedestrian crossing here at Limestone. If sidewalk only went down to Limestone along N to get people over to the east side. So I think that was just something we're basically just kind of working with them on. And as soon as we get some data, we'll get that and some recommendations over to them as well.
All right. Thanks, Kevin. Thanks, Aaron. We did have a resident that wanted to speak, and then I'll turn it over to the board to ask questions as they see fit for these two items. So is Joe Bowers still on?
Yes, John, I'm still here. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Yes, I just wanted to speak in favor of the Cottage Grove Commons Phase 2 project, as I did on the Plan Committee meeting. However, I just want to ensure that the entire village board is aware of the new intersection of the, I guess what would be the West Limestone Pass extension to Highway N. This extension will form a new intersection with Highway N and warrants special attention, I think, during the review recommended by MSA traffic study. This is because the intersection is also near the site of the existing Highway N southbound traffic merging from two lanes into one lane. And since I believe that a traffic hazard may already exist on Highway N where the two lanes merge into one, the existing traffic hazard would only be amplified with the increase in traffic from the Commons and also Glen Grove. The traffic hazard I'm referring to occurs when vehicles in the two southbound lanes are racing each other to get in the lead when the two lanes merge into one lane. Evidence of this hazard is a traffic accident that occurred a few months ago. A southbound Highway N driver lost control of their vehicle shortly after the two lanes merged into one, crossed into the northbound lane, drove across our driveway at 4600 Highway N at a high rate of speed. They may have been racing, I don't know. And came to rest wrapped around a large tree in our lawn. Vehicle was severely damaged. Driver was injured, ambulanced away to the hospital. Village of Cottage Grove police responded, and case number 20-272745 documents the accident. I commented in the plan meeting that a solution to the traffic hazard would be to improve N southbound to two lanes from Limestone Pass to the existing school road, right turnoff lane. However, if that's a big lift financially, an alternative would be to at least have the southbound right lane of Highway N extended to the new westbound Limestone Pass turnoff lane. I see from your right in, right out that there would be a deceleration or a turnoff lane there on southbound Highway N and going into the west Limestone Pass. This is only a short distance. And then also that merger sign should probably be removed and replaced with a right turn, must turn right sign on Highway N. This would tell the drivers that they shouldn't be racing to get ahead of each other. If they're in the right-hand lane, they should be thinking about turning off on Limestone Pass. Anybody who's going straight through should be in the left-hand lane. And the police chief may want to comment on the traffic study also once he gets a chance to review that police report 20-272745. And also maybe just take a look at the intersection itself to see what his assessment of the traffic hazard, might be. So that's all I have. I appreciate being heard. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate your comments, and I think everybody's certainly considering that with the traffic study in mind as well, and your reference to that unfortunate accident. Now I'll turn it over to the board to ask questions either from the Franks or staff.
This is Heidi. I have a couple questions. I had a question about the outlot with the detention area, and I have some mixed feelings about adding the 10-unit building because I like the idea of having townhomes there, but I'm also concerned about having very little outdoor green space for this many units. And my question was actually going to be about how much of that space is available for any outdoor improvements, and it shrunk somewhat now. Just for like a pocket park, there will be some kids living there and kids visiting grandparents living there. So I just wanted to hear a little bit about what you envisioned in that space, and benches or, benches near a tree, just to take in a little bit of nature in the area. So I was just wondering if you might talk to what you envision for outdoor amenities in that area.
Sure. So, we're still a work in progress to an extent because all the grade changes that we have in trying to address stormwater. but we are fairly confident with what we're showing right now. And that would be the outlot would be a wet pond, but we treat it the same way as the pond to the north and have a trail around it. So we know we can do that. Additionally, Mike did insert an area that we will have our outdoor amenity, and that will be whether we have the pool down there or to the north, we're still trying to assess, but there will be, like you mentioned, open area park bench, but more importantly, we'll have some equipment there to gas grills, gazebos, and so forth. So while ideally we wanted more open space with the grades that we're working with and the retention requirements, this is probably about what we're going to end up with. Same token, we're still pretty good as far as green space in general for a project of this size. I believe we're in the 50s as far as impervious areas. So we're in the high 40s or so as far as green space. So that's pretty I think pretty good, but it's to where with what we just received from our engineer today, which is what you're looking at. I feel fairly confident. The other issue we're, of course, always wrestling with is parking. And so we added more parking, which, of course, reduces green space. So you always have that trade-off. But from my perspective, I think we've got a fair balance right now.
So those would be park improvements that you would make as amenities for your residents, and not dedicated as public parks that we would be improving. Is that right?
No, at this point, there's no plan for a public amenity.
Okay. Just want to talk about it since I'm chair of Parks Committee and make sure we have our planning phases, aligned appropriately. So the other question I have is actually about parking. Have you considered putting any electric vehicle charging stations in any of your parking areas?
Yep. So at minimum, the parking ramp for the mixed-use building will have electric car charging, and with the smaller buildings, we kind of take it as it goes as far as if there's any requests. It's something that we can pretty quickly implement.
We've actually even adapted and put them in 4-unit buildings at times when we have residents that request. So it's something that is evolving without a doubt, and there will be more need to be supplying them in the future. That's for sure. So we like to think we can adapt, and at least we're incorporating some initially here. So
yeah, they're becoming more affordable. So it seems that more and more people are driving them, and it seems like the sidewalk conversation and the traffic patterns is kind of under, discussion to get right. I think it's important to get pedestrians across and safely that are trying to get to the multi-use path or to businesses at Commerce Park. So that's just my plug for the importance of that. Just looking over my notes. I think that's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks. All right. Thanks, Heidi. Other questions or comments from board members?
Yeah, this is Sarah. A lot of my questions are asked already, so that's great and answered. But remind me, I think in phase 1 you have some businesses, some commercial space on the ground floor also, yes?
Yep. Yes.
Have you had any interest in those spaces?
So it kind of hit a really rough time for office retail and commercial space with the COVID situation. We had a lot of interest early on, and then it wasn't too long after we began marketing that the stay-at-home order started, and that kind of put office retail to a pretty much virtual standstill. We do continue to get calls, but it's in general, office retail is kind of waiting out the storm right now, especially with something new. So we definitely feel there is good interest, but the time right now isn't the greatest.
Okay,
Subsidies
thank you.
will probably take 2 to 3 years here, but sure. I mean, we're still confident in location, of course. It's a great area.
Yeah, thank you. That's helpful.
All right, thanks, Sarah. Other questions or comments from?
How much on that mixed-use building you kind of showed that corner, kind of where the commercial space is going in? Is it just that corner? Is it the whole stretch along in? How much square footage are we talking about for commercial?
So if you look at the site plan here, it's the southeast corner. Yeah, 2,700 square feet of commercial.
2,700.
Okay. Thanks, Jeff. Any other questions?
I have one. It's Melissa. I was just wondering, have you done a market study that indicates that our community needs these apartments here and these types of housing?
Sure. So we conducted a market study in 2019 for the first phase. And it's kind of interesting that I just did analysis of our tenant base and reflected it back to the market study. And the market study was projecting approximately 10 units a month as far as absorption. And their primary market area for that was an area that extended to east side of Madison, Sun Prairie, and just to the east, maybe 10 miles or so. That is what they assessed we would have for the market. What's interesting about it is that it fit more a dynamic that I was hoping for with this project. And that was we'd be attracting people from other areas. We'd be pulling people from downtown Madison. We right now are 15% strictly in that target market area is who we have for renters right now. The remainder are outside that target market area, which tells us that we should be able to pull tenants within this project throughout the Dane County area. Additionally, we have about 15% or so that we're pulling in from relocations. But it is really interesting, the base that we have right now, that the Cottage Grove proper market, there's maybe 6, 7 or so right now. So that dynamic, we're not pulling from the housing that's existing there to any extent, and really just pulling people in that Corey mentioned last meeting that lived in Cottage Grove in the past and wanted to return, and that's the type of product that they're interested in living in. So we feel real confident right now, especially me in particular, after seeing and analyze the current tenant base that we have. So.
Sure. And then I think at Plan Commission, you told us that basically, do you have occupancy at your phase 1 at all?
So phase 1, we're currently at I believe approximately 65 out of the 105 units fully completed and occupied in the mixed-use building, with another 15 move-ins set for November 1st. We're looking at that building being fully complete by the end of the year, and on target to have it fully occupied in the January range of next year. The condominiums, the first building is complete and fully occupied, and between the 32 total units of condos under construction, I believe we are at 23 out of 32 sold or under contract, and that is with the fourth building just beginning construction.
That's great. That's all I have. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Melissa. Other questions? Just a quick comment from, at least from my perspective, sitting through this now from plan as well, and Melissa has heard it twice as well. This is an exciting project for Cottage Grove to get a couple roads put in, as well as, again, a nice mix of housing that we currently don't have. Obviously, clearly, Franks think that there's a market there, and there certainly appears to be. And again, there's a variety of housing that's going in here for their proposal. So I think it's pretty exciting for the village to have this coming down the pike, perhaps. This is discuss and consider. There's two items related here. Again, it's the general development plan, and then again, for the parcel, they had a preliminary plat for this portion of it. Is there any further discussion on this potential motion?
I'll move that we approve the proposed general development plan from Craig Frank Investments for Cottage Grove Commons Phase 2 to be located south of Cottage Grove Commons Phase 1 on parcel number 0711-042-9515-1.
I'll second that.
And just to add, clarify, you guys with conditions and
with conditions.
Yep, all the conditions from.
Okay, it's from the action report. All right, super. Thank you, Sarah and Jeff. Any further discussion? Having heard none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Anybody abstain? Motion carries. Second part of this is their proposed preliminary plat.
I can move for that one too. I'll move that we approve the proposed preliminary plat from Craig Frank Investments for Cottage Grove Commons Phase 2 to be located south of Cottage Grove Commons Phase 1 on parcel number 0711-042-9515-1 with conditions as written in the village action report.
All right.
Second.
Second from Troy, first from Sarah. Any further discussion? Having heard none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Anybody abstain? Motion carries. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks again, Craig and Corey. Then we move on. And again, a busy evening for the Plan Commission. So another item here is to discuss and consider the proposed precise implementation plan from moving out for Glen Grove Apartments to be located on parcels 0711-043-006-6 and parcel 0711-043-0017-3, and the third parcel is 0711-043-0028-0. And I think Megan, I see you. Do you want to start us off?
Sure. I'm going to share a presentation. It's pretty similar to what we shared with you guys last month. And I'll just note, we were pretty far along the path even at our GDP, so we were able to present a good amount of detail last month. I'm going to go through it quicker this month, though, so because you were all in the meeting last month, but I just want to, it's kind of a good quick refresher. So speaking to Movement Out's mission and our affordable integrated housing for people with disabilities, just to reiterate that we do really focus on true integration at every level. So whether it's your ability, your income, whether or not you have kids, we follow fair housing to a T, but we really do look to create neighborhoods in every development that we take on. Whoops, let me see. I'm going to skip over some of this because it's a little duplicative from last month. Again, we put together a project team with JLA Architects, and Andy Chitwood will present the details from the PIP submittal here shortly, working with McGann Construction, ACC Management, and a variety of service partners to ensure that all tenants are set up on a path to success. And I apologize because my kids apparently are starting to be chatty in the background. I could only woo them with the video games for so long here, it appears. Just a few examples of Movement Out's experience in Madison, Penny Lane Apartments, mixed, mostly market rate with some affordable units in Wanakee, a variety of communities that we have worked with to date. Glen Grove Apartments is 100 units, mix of 1s, 2s, and 3s, all targeted to a mix of incomes between 30 and 80% of county median income. Really targeting the workers for employers in the area. One of the consistent feedback you get is that employers can't find workers because they can't afford to live in the community that they're in. So we're really focused on a mix of affordability levels, targeting a variety of workers, but really working to keep people able to live in the communities that they work. A variety of amenities on site to ensure that residents have access to services and also some positive spaces for healthy living. So including on-site management, a large community room, a fitness center. We did include a large outdoor green space with a playground and raised gardens, really ensuring that all residents have some outdoor space to gather and thrive and in a safe location part of the development. Obviously also committing to a non-smoking environment and providing underground spaces, more than 1-to-1 underground with another 64 surface. It's just about 2 spaces per unit and almost exactly 1 space per bedroom. And then just to note too, here we do have 20 units that are targeted and set aside for households where one member has a disability. And in our experience, those households have much lower car ownership rates. And we will be designing the development to meet or exceed code requirements and truly designed to universal design approaches. We talked about the market study. The need is great in Cottage Grove, and there's a strong demand, and the majority of that demand is going to come from within the Cottage Grove market area versus other parts of Dane County or even the far side, either downtown or the west side of Madison. There's simply a need within your own community. And we anticipate a lease up in 4 to 5 months due to that strong demand. Currently, I just checked our interest list. We have almost 200 people on the interest list already for this development, and it won't open for over a year. That's pretty typical for us. We often will open developments 50% leased in what we work on. Then I'm going to skip through most of this, just talking about the need from the Dane County Housing Needs Assessment. We touched base last month on kind of what type of targeting this really looks like, but you're looking at households between $21,000 of annual income to $86,000. So we're really running that full gamut. And I am going to skip over most of these. You guys have this from last month and the service plan. So I'm going to hand it over to Andy next, so he can present more details on the actual design. And I'm going to try to find this. And just to know, while he's getting set up there, we really did take feedback from the Plan Commission and from the board. We presented some alternative design looks at the last meeting, and we did proceed with a more, I don't want to call it neutral, because I do think it really has some nice classic feel to it and still has an energy and a personality to it, which is really important to us. We want our projects to all have their own personality and not necessarily fade to the background, stand out on their own, but stand the test of time too. So I'll hand it over to Andy.
Thank you, Megan. Can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
With the moving out sheet, the Glen Grove Apartments? First page, you have that? Okay. Excuse me. So I'm going to go through, as Megan did, an abbreviated version of our previous presentation that'll just kind of highlight the basic aspects of this. I wanted to show this sheet. I have a couple others as well. That's one of the things that had come up in the GDP process at both the Plan Commission and the last Board of Trustees, and from some citizens, was concern about the initial color palette. So we've been working with Megan and with the current owner of the property to come up with a more something that we think is a little bit more palatable. We've kind of narrowed it down to just the 3 or 4 basic colors that you can see in here. At least, some version of this. The tannish, reddish tan tones you see are a wood product or a wood tone product. Everything on here is scheduled to be either masonry or fiber cement lap siding, or in the case of this wood tone, this is a fiber cement panel. They'll have a wood grain to it. The site plan itself, County Trunk N on the east side, North Windsor Avenue on the west, and this is School Road down on the south with the intersection here. And you can see on this some of the amenities that Megan spoke of for the tenants. In the front of the building, there's one area that Megan kind of emphasized that they'd like, are just some open, unscheduled or unrestricted, if you will, play areas just for whatever people want to do there. Adjacent to that will be a structured playground area. There will be seating in this area for parents, potentially some grills that I think is kind of up in the area. And then it's surrounded by, on 3 sides, raised garden beds that are intended to be community gardens for the use of the tenants. From a civil standpoint, Wade Wise, our civil engineer from Weiser Engineering, has been working with with Kevin. Due to the constraints of the stormwater management on the site, we will have a bioretention plant area on the south. The exact size of that is still being designed. In addition to that, we'll have 2 underground chambers for storage of storm water. And this plan shows a little bit more detail. The area, the parking that is off-street parking, is somewhat shielded from the street by this play area, so it's not real obvious. The lower level, as Megan said, it's 100 units. It's 3 stories of apartments over 1 level of underground parking. Because of the length of the building, we have 2 entrances into this lower level. The lower level will have 2 separate refuse areas to prevent build-up and congestion in those areas. We have the bicycle parking, and this plan shows in the 2 corners that what is basically a 2x6 surface parking area. There we go. In addition to this, we're going to also have each individual parking space will have a wall-hung bike parking area. With the amount of kids in here and the rise in interest in biking in general with the new bike path, I think that will be helpful to the tenants in the future. The first floor of this building, my blue beam's a little slow this time of night. You can see this kind of highlights a lot of the areas. Again, the exterior amenity space for the tenants. On the inside, we'll have the community room that Megan spoke of, the little kitchen area, fireplace, place for gathering for the tenants. The adjacent to that is a fitness center for the tenants, and alongside that will be a on-site leasing office and business office for the tenants. And what we hope will be an outdoor patio area. There's some issues with that with civil setbacks and stuff we're working through. But the intent is to have an outdoor area adjacent to this on the east side of the building for people using this tenant space. One of the things you'll see at both corners of this L will be storage areas on each floor. There's enough storage in here for one for each unit. And they will be on the floors, not in the basement, which I think is an added benefit for the tenants. They don't have to run up and down the stairs or the elevator to do that, to get to access those areas. And just briefly, you'll see that again, this is the second and third floors represented with the storage areas in each corner. And one of the things that we have, the space's exact use of it is yet to be defined, but each of the upper two floors will have an amenity space located in the center of the building for moving out to set up whatever additional services to help the kids, whether it's study areas, business center, that sort of thing. It's a large space on both of the floors that I think will be an additional benefit. As I mentioned before, we have been working with the colors. We've narrowed down the color palette to just a few major colors. The primary one being this gray and the lighter colored brick in here. This wood tone here, we're working through yet what that'll be, but it'll be something similar to what you see there. And then we have a blue accent color and then some lighter colors as accents as well throughout. And these translate into, I think, what's a pretty good looking building. You'll see the balconies on here. The grade change from the northeast corner to the southwest corner is such that I tend to get down to the south side. The grade level patios for the first floor actually end up being balconies. Off to the left here in the corner, you see the representation of the bioretention pond, which will have a landscaping aspect to it. It won't just be a flat grass, muddy area. It's actually other ones that we've done end up being, rain garden type thing that looks pretty good. Turns out pretty well. And this from the northwest corner shows the front of the building, the amenity space over here on the left. Kevin and I think the gentleman from the project to the north, they had mentioned this retaining wall here that we currently show that we hope we can get rid of in the future, and cooperating with them, working together with them on the design. And in the end, we hope to end up with this. This would be the east side of the building alongside Highway N. You can see the use of different building materials, different colors, creates a feeling of different buildings along here to break up the length of the building and give an appearance of several buildings rather than one large one. And then with the sidewalk along here makes it good, easy access for people to other areas to the north and south. So that's a condensed version. If there's something you'd like me to bring up, I'd be more than happy to. Otherwise, Megan, I'll turn it back over to you.
Yeah, I'm good. Just a note on those amenity areas. One thing that we've started doing in some of our recent developments is kind of working those as kind of homework nooks. So they have some shared computer space and some space that kids can get away a little bit. If I've learned anything in 7 months of having my kids in the room with me, pretty much that might be a beneficial thing for some parents. So that's what I would envision for that space.
Cool. All right. Megan, if there's nothing else, we'll turn it back over to Aaron and Kevin to talk about from a staff perspective. And then again, we have at least one citizen that wants to speak on this particular project as well. And then we'll go to the board for their questions. So Aaron?
Thanks, John. So this is the second of the two approvals for land unit development, the precise implementation plan. Got a staff report in the packet, which recommends approval with a few conditions. The first one just documenting the differences between this project and one that would be able to occur under MR12 multifamily zoning. The second is the standard reminder about getting a sign permit. The third, making sure we get the final landscaping plan to sign off on as they perhaps take out the retaining wall, or if that rain garden changes, it may cause some tweaks to the landscaping plan. Likewise for the photometric study, the fixtures that were provided in the submittal are consistent with our ordinance. We just want to get that photometric study to document that we're meeting the ordinances for lighting. And then just a note to coordinate the sidewalk location with projects both to the north that we just talked about and to the south that we'll talk about a little bit later. You also have a village action report, which kind of documents the planning commission meeting. So the motion at that meeting was to approve. There were 2 votes for, 4 against, 1 abstention. So their recommendation was denial, but it comes here for you guys to make your decision on that. And then there's also a second agenda item that we'll address next. That's simply a CSM to combine the 3 existing parcels into one. And then Kevin, I think, had some conditions as well to discuss.
Thanks, Aaron. I think my comments, conditions are more general in nature, as in they need to provide, obviously, the full final stormwater plan and I know Wade has been working on that, as well as just an updated grading plan and everything with it to make sure the site internally drains, ADA accessibility. Right now, the plan that they have is, a little bit, it's general in nature. It gives you the idea and everything like that. But like I said, I know they're working on that. And as Andy mentioned, I think it was agreed by both developments regarding the if they could get rid of the retaining walls on the north side of this property, that'd be a benefit to everybody as well if both developments went through. So they were fine with working with the neighbors on that as well. So I said mine is more just finalizing the grading plans and stormwater plans. We'll just need a full submittal package to review on that, but everything they've shown looks feasible as well. So that is all I have.
All right. Thanks, Kevin. Thanks, Aaron. We did again have one citizen that wanted to speak on this lease, so I'm going to turn that over to Joe Bowers. You still look like you're online here for this.
Yes, thanks, John. Just to remind everyone, my brother and I own the property at 4600 County Highway N, which is right across Highway N from this development, and I would like to speak in favor of the Glen Grove Apartments, as I did at the Plan Committee meeting. I believe Glen Grove will provide a good living environment for workers with a more moderate income. I think we have to keep in mind that a moderate wage job does not mean a moderate contribution to the community. The worker may be providing a very valuable contribution to our community, such as in the Commerce Park and perhaps other areas of the village where there are moderate wage jobs. So thank you for being heard. That's all I have.
All right. Thanks, Joe. We'll then turn it over to anybody from the board that has questions or comments for Megan or Andy or staff.
This is Sarah. Number one, I want to thank Joe Bowers for your comments. Very well said. I couldn't have said it any better. So thank you for those comments. And And I guess I just echo again, I guess what Joe said, in that we're a welcoming and inclusive community, and I look forward to having neighbors that are also working in my community and shopping in my community, et cetera. So I thank you for bringing this development to our attention.
All right. Thanks, Sarah.
I only have one question, and it might have been in the plan and I missed it, but that play area that's kind of like right out front by the road, that's going to be fenced in, right? Or some way we're not going to have kids running out into the road and all that kind of stuff, right?
I mean, it won't be fenced. We'd like to kind of keep it more open. It is going to be kind of controlled by the community gardens that we have encircling that area as well. Fencing tends to bring other issues, so we don't typically promote that. But that's why we kind of put the gardens where we did, to orient it towards the building a little bit more from the road.
I think Megan, there's also the sidewalk, and obviously there's a boulevard area, sidewalk, and two boulevard areas essentially between that, as well as whatever landscaping, whatever you, and the raised beds, I think. So.
Agreed. Thank you.
Jeff, does that answer your question?
I think as the presentation was going, and I was kind of paying attention to that part, I'm like, okay, well, just as long as there's some precautions so we don't have any accidents, that would be terrible. So it sounds like you do. So.
Yeah, well, that's one of the reasons we like to have that space on our own site too, because it gives kids someplace to go as part of your own development. But you can ask Andy. I often have said, put my mom hat on here and look at it from that perspective. So, but no, I appreciate that. And if something were to come up where we were having issues, then we would look into other security measures that we would.
Thank you.
Other questions from the board or comments?
It's Melissa. I did Megan. When you you say that was it a quarter of the apartments will be for people and families with disabilities?
20%. So
20%. Okay. And what range of disabilities is it? Could it be like medical, like somebody is like it's based on income, and also if they're by state law or whatever claim to have a disability, that type?
So we don't actually ask. Typically we'll ask for a third-party verification that doesn't have to disclose what that disability is, and it would be for one member. So it could be for one of the household members, an income providers, or it could be a child. We just ask for a third-party verification. That typically comes from someone's doctor, or if they're already in kind of the family care program throughout the state, they can, sometimes a caseworker that will help provide that. But in our experience, we've had people that run the whole range. The goal is just that it's a permanent disability, right? So not something that you're going to outgrow, kind of thing.
Right. That's what I figured. Thanks for clarifying that. I will also agree with what Joe Bowers had to say. I really appreciate your comments, and thank you for being here at our Plan Commission and this evening, and sharing your thoughts, and last month as well. And I wrote down what you said, Joe, with the moderate income doesn't mean moderate impact to our community, something like that. I know you said it so eloquently, and I just very much do appreciate that thought. So thank you for being here this evening. And I have no more questions. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Melissa. Any other questions or comments from board members?
I was just wondering, did the Plan Commission, I watched the meeting, but it was never really that clear why they opposed the project. Did they really, I guess, Did anyone express a specific feeling about that?
I'll take a stab at this, and Melissa certainly can jump in as well. There were several, I want to say, competing concerns. One, loss of commercial space. Another was just the size of the building. Another one was the building. This building was right for the community, but in the wrong location. So similar to when the general plan came through. I don't know, Melissa, if there's other things that you can recall.
No, not it. The comments weren't specific as to why they were opposed to it. And maybe we'll hear some other time that there were more specific reasons, but they didn't specifically express them at our last meeting. So I wish we could give you more to go off of, other than it was just they did not want to approve it at that time.
Okay, thanks for that. I think I'm not sure what they were thinking, but I think Mr. Bowers has put it succinctly and summarized my thoughts well. So I'll be happy to welcome the residents of Glen Grove to our community.
All right, any other questions or comments? Otherwise, this is a discuss and consider for the precise implementation plan, as well as the second part of this, again, is a certified survey map.
I make a motion that we approve the precise implementation plan from moving out for Glen Grove Apartments to be located on parcels number 0711-043-0006-6, number 0711-043-0017-3, and number 0711-043-00280.
I'll second.
With the conditions that were laid out.
Okay.
I'll second with the conditions that were laid out.
All right. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Paul. Any further discussion? Having heard none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Aye.
Anybody abstain? Motion carries. All right. And then we have the certified survey map so that we don't have to rattle off 3 parcels anymore. It will only be 1 parcel.
I'll make a motion to approve the certified survey map for moving out to combine those 3 parcels into 1 parcel.
All right. And with conditions, I think that.
Yes, always forget. Yes, thank you, John. Yes, with conditions.
I'll second that with conditions.
All right. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you, Jeff. Any further discussion? Having heard none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Anybody abstain? Motion carries. All right. Thanks, Megan. Thanks, Andy.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
I don't have to see you guys for a little while here, so it's been a fun summer. Bye. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Okay.
All right. They could also stick around if they wanted to, too. Moving on then to item F in Plan Commission was discuss and consider the proposed amendment to the Village of Cottage Grove Comprehensive Plan regarding a mixed use in Area 2. So, Aaron, do you want to walk through your memo?
Sure. This originated with a presentation from Kevin Metcalf and his development and design team. They came to the Plan Commission, I forget if it was August or September, but they had a concept for their property north side of Cottage Grove Road between Court Crossing and Sandpiper. It's where Casey's had been proposed for a portion of that site. It's been zoned commercial since those parcels were developed quite a while ago, and Mr. Metcalf's had a lot of trouble finding a commercial user for those parcels. So they proposed a grouping of fourplex buildings, market rate housing on those sites. Did get a favorable feedback from the Plan Commission at the time they presented the concept. Currently, the comp plan for that area requires either commercial or mixed use within 150 feet of Cottage Grove Road. The concept they presented would not be consistent with that. So this proposed change would make that requirement for the commercial or mixed use basically optional at the discretion of the village board. They could waive that requirement on a case-by-case basis. And this was approved by the Plan Commission. I believe the vote was 5-2.
Okay. Thanks, Aaron. Any questions for Aaron on this? Again, this is allowing more flexibility in that area. And I think we've seen the Metcalf proposed sketch, at least at this point. It's not, and so this just allows that to take a step forward if it makes it through all the various steps it needs to.
John, this is Melissa. I'll just note that what I said at Plan Commission was that the market really dictates what gets built. Our comp plan is more of our best guess as to what we want, where in our community, or what the committee or boards thought at the time that the comp plan was made. And so at this point, changing the comp plan to what the market is asking to be built or to go there, I think is important that we listen. Otherwise, we're just going to continue to have empty space throughout our community, just like where the moving out project or Glen Grove Apartments is going, that stayed vacant for a long time until we changed the comp plan. And I think this is needs to be done as well. Additionally, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing if our housing is located in our community and maybe businesses go on the outside of our community. We have space to grow if need be for businesses, and we have the TID 10 area. So there's lots of place for businesses to go. And seeing this is a main street, however, it's near schools, walking, keeping it more residential, prevents a lot of traffic that businesses bring as well. So that's my 2 cents on that.
All right, thanks, Melissa. Other comments or questions from board members? Otherwise, is there a consideration for a motion on this?
I'll move to approve that we approve the proposed amendment to the Village of Cottage Grove Comprehensive Plan regarding mixed-use area number 2. Were there conditions? I didn't see any, but I feel like I best put something in there about conditions. No?
Time there.
Okay.
It's technically an ordinance that you're approving, which references the staff report and makes the change.
Perfect.
All right, we have a first from Sarah. Is there a second?
I will second.
I don't want to guess.
Heidi can have it. Heidi did it.
Second by Heidi, and with a very photo finish from Melissa, or audio finish, I would say. So, any further discussion on this item? Having heard none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed?
Aye.
Oh, okay, one abstention. Okay. I'm sorry, one opposition. Anybody abstain? Motion carries. Item G is discuss and consider a proposed site plan amendment from Quick Trip for a building addition. don't know if we have anybody from.
See the design team here. This was pretty straightforward. It's just a small addition. Former Stop and Go becoming a Quick Trip. Slight enlargement of a few hundred square feet, and then just refreshing the exterior to match Quick Trip's corporate branding. The only condition I had was they weren't made to put the sidewalk in on end when the original building was constructed, but now with all the development to the north that we just discussed, it makes sense to have them put that in now, and they didn't have any objections to that at the Plan Commission. Kevin, I don't recall if you had some additional conditions.
I didn't really have any additional conditions. You and I had talked about the sidewalk, and based on what they're showing, they're maintaining the stormwater management that they had on site prior to, and their land disturbance isn't meeting any thresholds. So, yeah, the sidewalk was the only item that was that they're working on.
Okay, any questions from the board regarding this?
So I just want to clarify. So they are going to connect the sidewalk from the Glen Grove line, property line to connect at School Road. Is that right?
Correct.
Oh, good timing.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the site amendment for from Quick Trip for a building addition to the former Stop and Go store located at 1100 North Windsor Avenue.
All right. First and second, or I'm sorry, the first from Troy. Is there a second?
Second, but with the conditions that were outlined in the village action report. Is there some?
Yeah, the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Troy, you okay with that?
Yes, I'm good with that. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Jeff. Any further discussion on this motion? Having heard none, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Anybody abstain? Motion carries. Item H then is discuss potential zoning amendment related to setbacks in parks, and these are particularly small pocket parks. Aaron had a memo in the packet related to this. I don't know if you want to walk through that, Aaron. You're on mute.
Do that at least once every meeting. This is something Sean brought to our attention as they're working on the small pocket park and West Lawn, 4th Ad. It's currently written, any activity area in a park, playground equipment, athletic structure, whatever, has to be at least 50 feet away from the residentially zoned property. And that was kind of based on parks at the time that was written, basically always being larger facilities. It's becoming more of a trend to do smaller pocket parks now, and we have the one in West Lawn that's 0.8 acres. To apply that 50-foot setback basically means you don't have room to do anything. So the recommended solution to that is to lower that setback to 15 feet in a park that's less than 1 acre, with the stipulation that there would have to be a landscape buffer next to any of playground equipment or any of those features.
Any questions on this? The Plan Commission did approve this as well.
Is this to discuss and consider? It just says discuss, so I wasn't sure if you needed a motion.
Yeah, it should be discussed and considered.
Okay.
I did have one question, unless Sarah, did you have anything?
No.
Is 1 acre enough? I mean, depending on how the lot is configured, it could be, if it's a long, skinny lot. I'm just trying to think of maybe if 2 would give us more flexibility, we wouldn't have to change the ordinance again. If it's a 2 acre, any park under 2 acres, or do you think 1 acre would mostly cover what we might want to do?
I think it would mostly cover it, but that's a good point. And If you want to make it 2, that would give it a little more flexibility, certainly.
John, you want to weigh in on this too?
Yeah, I think, there we go. I think correct me wrong, but the Shady Grove parking lot or park was slightly bigger than an acre. So I think it would be good if we could go a little bit larger than a 1 acre setback. Aaron, I could be wrong on that. I thought that was a little bit more.
May have been. I'm trying to remember if that was next to another outlot though, so it may not be as much of an issue. But still, I certainly don't object to making it 2 acres.
Then I would make a motion to amend the related setbacks in parks in Ordinance 10-2020, amending Chapter 325 with the change to make it a 2 acre park for the setback changes. Does that motion make any sense?
I'll
I think it
second
does.
it.
It made enough sense for a second one, so there you go.
That's right.
All right, any further discussion?
Yeah, it's Melissa. I had a question then. How big are our parks normally, besides the Hamburg one that's 20 plus acres, or Bakken Park?
I think you might correct me if I'm wrong, is it 1 acre per 15 units that is the dedication level, unless you want to do fee in lieu of? Is that the general rule? So I guess it depends on how big the development is and if they want to pay fee in lieu of, or if they want to dedicate the proper, or, the designated amount.
Right. So, but how big are all of our other current parks? Like, what's the smallest size that we currently have?
Smallest size. This would be the smallest size that we currently have. The fourth ad one. Otherwise, it varies between 3 and 10 is most used, and then you have obviously Bakken and Fireman's, which are very large parks. Northline, in comparison, that's about 12 acres.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
All right, do we have a motion and second? Any further discussion? Having heard none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Anybody abstain? Motion carries. All right, so that's the end of the long list of items that the Planning Commission took action on. We did have a couple other items that were covered. There was a presentation for a concept plan from Dan and Katie Schwab for an outdoor entertainment conditional use located at 2638 Coffeetown Road. This was just an overview. They'll have to come back through to Plan Commission with a lot more detail. They did get some positive nods from the commission, so we will see that one in the future, I think. But again, they've got a little more homework to do and are working with Aaron on that. And then we had a review of a temporary application for Andrew Homburg for the storage of some relocatable buildings. These are tiny houses, I guess, at Progress Drive in the Cottage Grove Business Park. Andrew went through that. The commission didn't have any issues with that, and that's typically a thing that staff handles, but that was because they were a little different. At least Aaron wanted to get in front of the Plan Commission, and the commission members didn't have a problem with that. Melissa, anything else I missed?
Nope, that was our long meeting.
Yeah. That's all good stuff. Moving on then, unless there's any other questions, comments. we'll move on to Parks, Rec, and Forestry. And Heidi, you can take it away on that.
Sure, thanks, John. We met on the 15th. We spent a decent amount of time on the West Lawn, the future 20-acre park, the master planning from that. MSA brought together some ideas from the survey and the public meeting to kind of put together a good starting draft that the committee will continue to work on. We had some neighbors attend, which was great to get some input from them. We also talked about the Red Hawk Pocket Park. We're moving forward on that. Our goal is to get something in the ground first thing in the spring. So next month we'll have a more detailed plan and cost breakdown from MSA on that, and then we can decide are we going to improve all of it at once or do 2 different phases. And that would be using park development funds. Almost out of Bakken Park for the shelter and splash pad, just finishing punch list items and landscaping, so that's exciting. The tree inventory is almost done. There'll be a presentation to the village board to summarize it sometime probably in December. Our next parks meeting is the 19th at 5 p.m. I don't know if you have anything to add, Sean?
Oh, you got it.
All right, thanks.
Any questions for Heidi from Parks? All right, then we'll move on to Deer Grove EMS. Sarah or Troy, you want to take this?
Sure. Troy, do you want me to, or?
No, that's. We want. Hey, do you want to fight about it?
No, I don't. Go ahead.
We met last Thursday. Calls for the month were slightly down from last year, and we're about 22 calls off from last year. So the trend is still below last year's levels. Nothing major on the COVID-19 response. Just overview, all 3 communities okayed the budget, the Deer Grove EMS budget for 2021. One item that was up for discussion was creating an advisory committee about staffing needs in the future, and the idea behind this is to be prepared for budget time if there's seems to be, or there's a feel for a need for more staff. Discussions where there'd be 2 folks from the village of Cottage Grove, the village of Deerfield, and 2 from the town. The thought was there'd be 1 village official, whether it be a trustee or a town representative, and then also possibly a citizen or a doctor of some sort from the community. There'd also be, let me see here, 1 board member, citizen. The chief would obviously be on there from an advisory standpoint. They would conduct monthly meetings. And that was approved. Other than that, the next meeting is November 19th at 6:30. Any questions by anyone? Did I miss anything, Sarah, on the committee thing?
No, but we probably should be thinking about who wants to participate as a village board member. If it's one of us or one of, it didn't have to be, right? It could be any village board member.
It could very well be, or it could be a committee member and a village board member. It could be a committee member that is, when I say committee, Deer Grove EMS, it could be, like I said, a physician that's in the area that lives in the village that wants to be a part of that committee. Really looking for 1 village official and one citizen, or two village officials, I guess, when it comes down to it. So.
Okay, so this is not a formal agenda item, so I think we'll have to put it on the early November, if we can wait for that. I'm assuming we can, to have the board actually discuss it and make a suggestion or whatever. And Larry looked like he was going to kick off of mute. And we have that, Larry, or something else?
No, I was just ready. I'm so far ahead. I'm ready for staff for reports.
But that
I
is,
didn't want to pull an Aaron Ruth and just talk on mute.
but I am correct. We have to have that as a formal agenda item, correct?
Yeah, at this point, that idea is just advisory. You could move forward without a vote. But to take, if we're going to take action, you'd want it on the agenda.
Okay.
Do we need to take action since it's strictly an advisory committee?
My thought would be just to have Sarah and Troy be on there because you guys already know what's going on, and we don't have to catch somebody up to speed on this. But I would look to the board for thoughts otherwise.
John, I think the concept is only have one Deer Grove EMS Commission member on it from each community to try to get outside ideas other than just the committee. We don't need to have a separate committee if it's just Deer Grove EMS Commission members.
Okay.
I guess is the idea behind that.
Okay, then one of you, and then we find a citizen, then participate.
I was wondering if we could do Facebook posts, just putting it out there like we need members for Deer Grove EMS subcommittee on staffing, like committee members for housing task force if we still need some there, and DEI. Like if we could just advertise that way a little bit.
Yeah, we certainly can. And then Troy and Sarah can do rock, paper, scissors to see who wants to be on it. All right, so we'll get something out there. It's a good idea, Melissa. Then we move on to reports from village officers. Larry, now you can unmute, or you already are unmuted. Look at you.
I'm still unmuted, and I don't have anything to report.
No, that's so disappointing. Come on now. All right. Other than the cool backdrop you got. Then we will move on to COVID-19 updates, and I'll just run through the gamut off the top of my head. So, Matt, anything related there?
I do not have anything.
All right. We'll move on then to Chief Labor.
Yeah, nothing to report, John. Everybody at the PD is COVID-free so far.
Okay. All right. Lieutenant, anything?
I don't have anything new to report. I did inquire about Melissa's question from 2 weeks ago about payments. The people that I have spoke with have received their phase 1 payments, but not phase 2. I also sent an email to Department of Health Services and have yet to hear back from them. So again, once I hear something, I will let you guys know.
All right. Then we'll move on to JJ.
No report.
Okay. And then Sean.
I got nothing either. No reports.
All right. I'm glad to hear that. That means everything's going well with all the other things going on.
Hey, John?
Yeah.
Sorry, I had a question for Lieutenant Wagner.
Oh, sure.
Thanks. I was just wondering, do we have an idea of how many people in our community have COVID-19 or have had it?
No, I don't know that information. I can reach out to public health and see if they would be willing to divulge those numbers. Okay. But I don't know right off of hand. So let me do some more research and I will report back to you.
Okay, I'd appreciate it. Thanks.
Yep, absolutely.
All right. Then we'll move on. Sean, you said nothing. Move on to Lisa. We've got a little election coming up here. It looked like everything was organized very well today, at least staged from what I saw when I was in the hall.
Yeah, so we've been working on our plan, still working a little bit of the legalities on that, but I think we're looking to have voting in Village Hall. with a safe plan in place. In-person voting starts tomorrow, so we're anticipating a very busy day with voters, and that will run until October 31st. Those hours are posted on our website, and you will see Facebook posts coming forward. To date, we have issued 2,464 ballots, absentee ballots, and we have 1,743 that are returned. And as of today, we have 4,780 registered voters in the village.
Well, busy time. Deb, do you have... Go ahead.
I'll take over a little bit on Lisa's update because she didn't cover it. She's being a little too modest. Lisa and Derek, our cable TV coordinator, did some wonderful public outreach videos, instructional videos on the election process and how we're handling things at the village. So check them out if you haven't seen them on Facebook, and they're on the website as well.
Thanks, Matt.
Yeah. Thank you.
And Deb, anything from you?
Nothing COVID related. I just wanted to let the board know that to look out for an email from me today with this week, hopefully Wednesday, with the 2021 budget for the workshop next Monday.
All right, thanks, Deb. All right, we'll move on to communication miscellaneous business. Approval of vouchers. Any questions or comments?
I'll make a motion to approve the vouchers for October 7th to October 20th, 2020.
Second.
Second.
All right. I think it was Melissa certainly first, and I think Sarah beat you out, both Jeff and Troy. But I'll let Lisa record the actual. But thank you. Any other further discussion? Having heard none, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Anybody abstain? Motion carries. Correspondence. I didn't have anything. I don't know if anybody else had anything. I said I recall. Upcoming community events then. Just want to go ahead.
The Ghostly Grove Tour kicks off next Monday. There will be a map available or a list of addresses to check out all the awesome Halloween decorations around Cottage Grove. So that is scheduled the 26th through the 31st. And then if you want to start thinking about channeling your inner Clark Griswold, you can plan your lights for the Christmas in the Grove weekend. So that's December 5th and 6th this year. So just keep that in your mind. There's more coming on that.
All right. Thank you, Heidi. Other upcoming community events that people want to highlight? Obviously, we have trick-or-treating hours posted, and I know there's a lot of different ideas out there to keep everybody safe. So if you want to poke around, if you want to participate, I think there's some pretty nifty ideas to make sure that everyone is as safe as possible. Anybody have anything else? Otherwise, just a quick update, couple past things that occurred. We had groundbreaking for Dolphin Swim Academy back on the 10th. It was a special day for her, so she kind of put things together real quick. It was a beautiful day, of course. Matt, myself, and Aaron were there along with a bunch of her family as well as the contractors. So she's still working through, Brittany's still working through all that, but that occurred. And then a really special event last week was the Miracle Field, and Bill Schultz and crew. Sean said some nice words there. did the groundbreaking. We got some local press. So it was very nice to see that kind of moving forward. And it looks like all the fundraising that is kind of coming around for the spring for that wonderful facility. So future agenda items, we have a number of things coming through Plan Commission. I know because we covered some of them tonight. They'll take their next steps. So I think we have some concept plans coming through. And Matt, I'm probably missing some stuff as well. Obviously, we got budget stuff too.
Is our next regular meeting on November 2nd then?
Yes. And I believe the workshop is scheduled for 5:30. We usually do that a little earlier. So just note that special start time.
Thank you, Matt. All right. If there are no other comments, then we'll move into item 10. We have actually item 10 and 11. We'll do one at a time, and then we'll move into both of them subsequently. So item 10 is to motion to go into closed session for negotiation development of incentive negotiations in TID number 10. The Village of Cottage Grove Village Board will enter closed session pursuant to Wisconsin State Statute 19.85 parentheses 1 parentheses E, deliberating or negotiating the purchase of public properties and investing of public funds, the conducting of other specific public business wherever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. So is there a second?
Second.
I think I was Jeff and then Troy. We have a second then. This is a roll call vote, so we'll let Lisa go through that.
Vandervelde,
Here.
Allen,
Aye.
Lindbergh,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Valencia,
Aye.
Murphy,
Aye.
Ratcliffe.
Aye.
All right, thank you, Lisa. And make another motion then to go into a second closed session following that. And this one is a closed session in regards to the village administrative performance evaluation and contract for services. The Village of Cottage Grove Board will enter a closed session pursuant to Wisconsin State Statute 19.85 parentheses 1 parentheses C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the government body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibilities. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay, we're going to second Jeff. Again, roll call.
Ratcliffe,
Aye.
Allen,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Lindbergh,
Aye.
Murphy,
Aye.
Valencia,
Aye.
Vandervelde.
Aye.
All right, we'll jump out of this one and then jump into the closed session.